It's 6:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. You just finished a 9-hour shift where your boss spent half the day micromanaging your inbox and the other half pivoting the project you spent all last week perfecting. Your commute was 20 minutes longer than usual because of a fender bender you didn't cause. You were just sitting there staring at brake lights, feeling your life force slowly drain into the upholstery of your driver's seat. You finally walk through your front door, toss your keys on the counter, and you feel completely depleted. You look at the fridge. You have chicken that needs to be seasoned and broccoli that's 3 days away from turning yellow. You know you should cook. It's the healthy choice. It's the frugal choice. But the idea of standing over a stove for 40 minutes feels like asking a marathon runner to do a lap of honor after they've already crossed the finish line. Then you look at your phone. It's sitting right there. That internal voice, the one, starts whispering. It's not a loud voice. It's soft, comforting, almost maternal. It says, "You had a brutal day. You worked hard. You put up with so much garbage today. Everyone wants something from you. For once, do something for yourself. You deserve this." So you open the app. You spend $34 on a sushi combo and another $12 on delivery fees and tips. As you hit order, you feel a momentary rush of relief, a little hit of dopamine. For a second, you feel like you've reclaimed your power. You aren't just a corporate cog. You're a consumer with the power to summon raw fish to your doorstep. But here's the problem. Saturday morning rolls around. You check your bank account, and that "I deserve this" feeling is replaced by a "how did I spend $400 this week" feeling. You aren't a big spender. You don't drive a Ferrari. You don't have a closet full of designer clothes. But you were caught in the "I deserve this" loop. And today I want to show you exactly how these small reactive rewards are the silent killers of your financial freedom. My name is Mike, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychological traps that keep middle-class people from becoming wealthy. If you're someone who feels like you're doing everything right, you have a good job, you save a little bit, but your net worth never seems to actually move, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, the common financial advice tells you to stop buying lattes. I think that's garbage. This isn't about coffee. This is about a fundamental misunderstanding of how our brains use money to cope with stress. Let's start with a reality check. Here's the thing. Your willpower is like a phone battery. At 8 a.m., after a good night's sleep, it's at 100%. You're making great choices. You say no to the donuts in the break room. You stay focused on your spreadsheets. But every time you have to make a decision or deal with a difficult coworker or resist an impulse, that battery drains. By 6 p.m., you're at 4%. This is what psychologists call ego depletion. There was a famous study by Roy Baumeister where researchers put people in a room that smelled like freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. One group was allowed to eat the cookies. The other group was told they could only eat radishes. Afterward, both groups were given a difficult geometric puzzle to solve. The cookie eaters worked on the puzzle for 19 minutes on average. The radish eaters, the ones who had already used up their willpower resisting the cookies, they quit after just 8 minutes. When your ego is depleted, your brain stops thinking about your 65-year-old self and starts thinking about your right now self. And your right now self is hurting. This is where it gets really interesting. We use spending as a form of self-repair. We aren't actually buying the sushi or the $80 Zara top because we want the item. We're buying it to signal to ourselves that we are still in control. We're saying, the world took my time and my energy today, so I'm going to take this reward back. But here's what most people don't realize. You aren't actually repairing yourself. You're just renting a temporary mood boost with your future freedom. Now you might be thinking, Mike, it's $40. It's not the reason I'm not a millionaire. The system is rigged. Housing is expensive. Let me have my sushi. Okay, let's look at the math. This is where it gets brutal. Let's talk about the "I deserve this" tax. Let's say you have 3 of these moments a week, just 3. A $15 fancy lunch on Wednesday because a meeting went long and you earned it. a $50 takeout order on Friday because you're too tired to cook, a $35 random Amazon purchase on Sunday, maybe a new candle or a gadget, because you're dreading Monday and you need a treat. That's $100 a week, $400 a month. Most people see $400 a month and think, okay, it's a car payment. I can afford that. But here is the opportunity cost. This is where it gets really interesting. If you took that $400 a month, money you're spending on rewards that you literally forget about 24 hours later, and you put it into a boring S&P 500 index fund, returning a historical 8%, over 30 years, that $400 a month becomes $590,000. Think about that. You are trading over $500,000 for sushi you didn't really enjoy, and Amazon gadgets that are sitting in a junk drawer. You're paying a $600,000 comfort tax to cope with a job you probably wouldn't even need to stay at if you had $600,000 in the bank. Let's look at a statistic that almost nobody talks about. According to a 2023 study by Intuit Credit Karma, 27% of Americans admit to doom spending, and that is spending money to cope with concerns about the economy or their own personal stress. We are literally spending our way into poverty to cope with the stress of being broke. It is a closed circuit of misery. Think of the I deserve this loop like being lost at sea on a raft. You're incredibly thirsty. That thirst is your need for rest, for peace, for joy. You look at the ocean all around you. It's right there. It looks like water. So you take a big gulp of the salt water. For 5 seconds, your mouth feels wet. You feel better. But then the salt hits your system. It dehydrates you more. Now you're even thirstier than you were before. So what do? You take a bigger gulp of salt water. Your small rewards are salt water. They provide a momentary illusion of relief, but they leave you more financially dehydrated, which increases your stress, which makes you work harder, which makes you feel like you deserve more salt water. This is how people end up making $150,000 a year and still feel like they're drowning. They've just scaled up their saltwater intake. Instead of a $40 sushi order, it's a $1,200 lease on a German SUV because they work hard and they deserve it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mike, you want me to be a robot? I'm supposed to work 40 years and never have a nice dinner? What's the point of even having money if I can't spend it? Look, I'm with you. I like nice things. I'm not telling you to live on lentils in a basement and stare at a wall. The difference is between intentional joy and reactive relief. Reactive relief is what happens in the I deserve this loop. It's unplanned, it's impulsive, and it's a reaction to a negative emotion. It's, I feel bad, so I'll spend. It's a transaction made while your brain is in survival mode. Intentional joy is, I value travel, so I have a dedicated fund for a $5,000 trip to Italy that I'm going to enjoy without a single ounce of guilt. Here's the thing. When you spend reactively, the reward loses its value. If you have reward sushi every Tuesday because your boss was annoying, it's not a reward anymore. It's a maintenance cost. It's an expensive habit that has lost its flavor. It's just fuel for the machine. By killing the I deserve this loop, you actually make your big rewards feel like rewards again. You stop the leaking so you can actually afford the flooding of joy. But this is where it gets really interesting. This is the part that might hurt a little, but we have to talk about it. The I deserve this loop is often a symptom of something I call financial nihilism. When we say I deserve this, what we're often really saying deep down is, I don't actually believe I'm ever going to be wealthy. I don't believe I'll ever own a home or retire comfortably because the world is on fire and everything's too expensive. So I might as well have this small win now. It's what economists call present bias. We devalue our future self because our future self feels like a stranger. But here's the revelation. Every time you buy a small reward to cope, you're casting a vote for the version of yourself that stays stuck. You're telling your brain, I am a person who needs external things to feel okay. Wealthy people, I'm talking about the millionaire next door types, the ones who actually keep their money, they have a different I deserve this voice. Their voice says, I've worked hard this week. and I deserve to have a net worth that allows me to never have to deal with this boss again. I deserve the peace of mind that comes from a 6-month emergency fund. I deserve the freedom to quit whenever I want. They've traded the micro reward, the sushi, for the macro reward, freedom. Here's what most people don't realize. You are currently paying an identity tax. You are paying hundreds of dollars a month to maintain the identity of someone who is doing okay, despite being stressed. But that identity is exactly what is preventing you from becoming the person who is actually doing great. So, how do we stop? How do we take that $600,000 back from the sushi apps and the doom spending? It's not about willpower. We already established that your willpower is at 4% by the time the loop starts. You can't rely on a dead battery to start a car. You need a system. Step 1. The 24-hour cooling rule. If you find yourself saying the words, "I deserve this," in front of a checkout screen or a delivery app, you are legally required to wait 24 hours. Put the item in the cart, close the app. If you still want it 24 hours later, and it's in your budget, go for it. But what you'll find is that 90% of the time, the impulse was the reward, not the item. Once the dopamine spike from the idea of the purchase fades, the desire disappears. You'll realize you weren't hungry for sushi. You were just hungry for a break. Step 2. The joy versus relief audit. Look at your last 30 days of discretionary spending. Look at every single swipe. Ask yourself, did this purchase provide joy or did it provide relief? Relief is, I was tired and didn't want to cook. Relief is, I bought a shirt because I had a bad meeting. Joy is, I went to a concert with my sister. Kill the relief spending. Protect the joy spending. You'll find that relief spending accounts for about 70% of your leaks, but provides 0% of your long-term happiness. Step 3. Pre-fund your burnout days. Look, we know you're going to have bad days. It's part of being human. Expecting yourself to never be tired is a recipe for failure. Instead of letting those days hijack your bank account, prepare for them. Buy a few $10 high-quality frozen meals from the fancy grocery store. You keep a bottle of your favorite wine at home. Create a bad day protocol that costs $10 instead of $60. If you prepay for your burnout, you won't have to borrow from your future to pay for it. Step 4. Change the currency. Stop thinking about prices in dollars. Dollars are abstract. Dollars are just numbers on a screen. Start thinking about prices in hours of life. If you make $30 an hour after taxes, that $60 takeout order isn't $60. It's 2 hours of you sitting at your desk taking crap from your boss. When you realize you're trading 2 hours of your finite, precious life for a meal that's gone in 15 minutes, the sushi starts to taste a lot less like a reward and a lot more like a scam. This is where it gets really interesting. When you change the currency, you realize that the I deserve this loop is actually an I'm selling myself for cheap loop. Now you might think, Mike, this sounds like I'm just being cheap. No. Being cheap is about the price of things. Being wealthy is about the value of your time. Every time you say no to a reactive small reward, you're buying back 10 minutes, an hour, a day of your future. You're building a freedom fund. Think of it this way. If I offered you a choice right now between a spicy tuna roll and a day where you don't have to wake up to an alarm clock, which one would you choose? Obviously, you choose the day of freedom, but we don't see that choice in the moment. We just see the tuna roll. We have to train our brains to see the invisible trade-off. At the end of the day, you do deserve things. You deserve to sleep soundly at night, knowing that an unexpected car repair won't ruin your month. You deserve to look at your bank account and feel a sense of pride rather than a sense of mystery. You deserve to own your time rather than selling it to the highest bidder until you're 70 years old. But you will never get those things as long as you're chasing the small rewards. The I deserve this loop is a cage with velvet bars. It's comfortable, it's soft, and it feels like a hug, but it's still a cage. It keeps you running on the treadmill, working the job you hate to buy the things you don't need to forget about the job you hate. It's time to stop the cycle. I want you to take a look at your bank statement tonight. Don't be mad at yourself. Shame is another form of ego depletion. It just makes you want to spend more to feel better. Just be curious. Find one relief purchase, just one, and decide right now that next time you feel that stress, you're going to choose your future self over your right now self. Because here's the final truth. The greatest reward you can ever give yourself isn't something you can buy with a credit card. It's the ability to say no to the world because you've already said yes to your own freedom. Freedom isn't found in the sushi app. It's found in the gap between your income and your lifestyle. If you've been stuck in this loop, or if you found a way to break it, let me know in the comments. I read as many as I can, and your story might be the thing that helps someone else stop drinking the salt water. Let's talk about the specific treats that used to keep you broke. Was it the Target runs? Was it the weekend retail therapy? Thanks for watching. Stop rewarding yourself into poverty. Go build something that actually lasts, and I'll see you in the next one.